Hi, I'm Deb from Frontier Mushrooms, and this is my video on how to set up your mushroom grow kit and run it until it's ready to be finished. So here in front of me, I've got a box of the kind of grow kit that you're likely looking at in front of you. First of all, I wanted to go through some vocabulary because there are some words I'm going to say over and over, and I don't want it to be confusing. So when we talk about the block or the log, that is the kit that's inside your box. So I'm going to start by taking this perforation out. When you take your perforation out, you're going to find your humidity tent, which looks like this, and a set of instructions. Now you can do a couple of different things when you're starting. In here, this is your block or your log. So this is a log that we've made at our farm out of hardwood sawdust, and it is inoculated with mushroom mycelium of whatever variety you are working with. So you'll either have a lion's mane, a pink oyster, or a blue oyster mushroom grow block. Okay, so when I talk about the block or the log or the bag, that's what I'm talking about. And then we'll be talking about the humidity tent, which is this bag right here. This is very important, so don't lose that. Just set it aside for now. When we talk about mycelium, that is all of the white filament little bits that are running throughout your block that are the root system or the vegetative portion of your mushroom. So, and when I talk about fruit, that's the mushroom itself when it starts to grow out of the hole that you're going to cut. So the first thing you're going to do after you've taken this off, you can decide if you're going to leave it in the box to grow it because it can grow right out of this hole, or you can actually take the log out and set it up that way. But for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to leave it in the box and show you how to do it this way. So once you've got it open, you also need to decide where you're going to place this in your house. So this is meant to be an indoor growing kit. When the weather's nice in the spring and summer, sometimes these can be grown outside. But for now, we're going to talk about indoor growing. So you need to find a spot in your house where it's room temperature. And that means anywhere from 15 to 22, 23 Celsius. And that's the temperature at which these grow the best. And then you need to find a spot where you have a little bit of light, not a hot sunny window and not a dark closet, somewhere in between. A lot of people like to grow them on their countertop in their kitchen. You can grow it in a bathroom. You can grow it on a coffee table in your living room, on a bookshelf, totally up to you. And some people like to put a cookie sheet or a plate or something underneath it. Some actually will take it out of the box and put it in even a planter or something like that. It's all totally something that you can do if you like. So to start your kit, you're going to need a pair of scissors, sharp pair of scissors, and you're going to want to have your humidity tent and eventually a little spray bottle here. The first thing that you're going to do is your block should be set up in there in such a way that the surface that is pointing up out of the perforation spot is where you're going to cut it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. The first thing that I like to do is, I think in your instructions it tells you either 1 or 2 holes. I've typically been cutting 1 recently, and that will allow for the fruit to come out at a nice size. So usually I just kind of start right here, and I like to cut an X. If you poke down into the mycelium a little bit, that's okay. You want to try to avoid doing too much of that just so you don't disturb anything that might already be starting to grow, but it's not a big deal if you get into it a little bit. So there's my first cut. There's my second cut. Just like so. And I want to talk a little bit about timing as well. You may have received this as a holiday gift. You may have had it sitting around for a little bit. Really, as long as you start it as soon as you get it or by the date listed on the box, but these are more guidelines than perfect timelines. The only reason they have a bit of an expiration date is that the mycelium in there is a living thing, and if you don't start it soon enough, it may start to fruit or grow mushrooms underneath that plastic bag. And if it does that, that can affect the yield long term. So it's not the end of the world if you started a little late, or if you've already started it and you realize, oh, maybe I did that wrong, it's okay to go back and kind of start again, okay? When I cut my X, I don't usually prop that open. You can just kind of leave it closed like that. As the mycelium starts to form into the fruit of the mushroom, it will actually push it open and start to grow itself. So that's really that part. Now I'm going to show you how to set up your humidity tent. So you're going to open it out. This is really just a little bit of a heavier duty plastic bag. And what I like to do is cut a couple of holes on either side that are maybe about the size of a softball. And I usually use scissors for this, but you can tear it open, or, it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'll often do something like this. And you can see I'm cutting through both sides here at once, just for ease. I make kind of an X on each side, or a plus sign. Again, the main reason you're doing this is so that when you are providing a little bit of a humid microenvironment for your block, you also want to make sure that there's plenty of airflow. Mushrooms, just like us, put off CO2 and take in oxygen. So if they are covered too much and don't have enough airflow, the CO2 will start to build up under that tent, and they'll make them grow a little bit misshapen. So you want to make sure you have plenty of airflow coming through. And then you're just going to prop that up over your grow kit, just like so. You kind of got your holes there, so you got a little bit of airflow. And really, that's it. And then you're going to take your spray bottle, maybe once a day, twice a day. And what I always tell people is, when you're doing this, I'm going to put it on a little bit more of a mist. When you're doing this, you're not watering the plant per se. You are providing a microclimate, because most of our homes are pretty dry, especially in the cooler weather. So you want to give your mushroom a little bit of a humid area to grow in. So you've got that water condensing on your humidity tent. That just helps keep that a little bit moist in there as compared to the outside air. And then you're going to wait. Leave it sit. You can spray it once a day, as you see that condensation start to dry up, give it another spray or two, and then just wait and watch. Within the first 10 days, you're going to see what we call primordia starting to form. That's the baby mushrooms, the little tiny bits. So I've actually brought a couple of our pink oyster kits here. This is the beginnings of a pink oyster mushroom grow kit. Now that primordia has actually started to grow pretty large. And then if you look here, this is another day or two, and it's formed up into more of a mushroom. Now this is going to keep going, and then in the next couple of days, it'll be ready to harvest. So one thing about timing is that it's a little bit subjective as to when you're going to harvest. You're going to be looking for those mushroom fruits to form up into full petals that look like they're starting to thin at the edges. There are a couple of different things to look for. If they start to yellow, dry a little bit, then it's probably time to harvest. For the blue oyster, you're looking for something to start to get a little bit more flat. Sometimes the fruit will grow more like a trumpet shape. Sometimes it'll grow more like a flat tap. And so you'll just have to decide a little bit when you think it's ready to go. You want to look for any lightening of the color. As it starts to get lighter, it'll be a little bit closer to time to harvest. And with the lion's mane, you're going to be looking a little bit for more of the formation of tendrils, but not necessarily really long tendrils, because that has more to do with the higher humidity. So you're going to be looking for things like size, you're going to be looking for color, you're going to be looking for just a couple of different ideas that are in my instruction sheet to give you an idea. You can also send me a picture if you're concerned, text me a picture, email me a picture, and say you think it's ready, and I'll try to get back to you and let you know if it's time to harvest. When you harvest, instead of cutting with a knife, you're going to break the entire fruit off from the block and leave the mycelium and the sawdust exposed for the next growth, which will start again in about 10 days after you harvest. And you're going to get that maybe 2 or 3 fruitings over the life of the block, every 2 weeks or so. And then for the mushrooms, you're gonna enjoy them right away, or if it's blue oyster or lion's mane, you can store them in the fridge for 5 to 7 days before you're ready to enjoy them. And then after your block is done, it'll be a lot lighter in weight because it's already grown out all of that fruit. And then you can either crumble it into your garden, put it in your compost. Some people want to start it again, but to do that, you really need to be able to add more nutrition, more hydration, and that's something that is a little bit tricky to do. So the best way to maybe keep it going is to crumble it out in your garden, and sometimes that mycelium will overwinter and come back in the spring for you. I think that is pretty much everything. And yeah, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out and let me know. Thank you.